Mr. Ring, thank you so much for speaking to Bloomberg. I just wanted to get a general view, first of all, about your thoughts about the global economy. We're talking about a U.S. debt ceiling in the U.S. not being raised, a possible downgrade. Here, the resolution is far from over. In Europe, all this macroeconomic uncertainty, will it have an impact on the way that you see the future of your business?
That's difficult to predict today. Indeed, as you say, there is a lot of uncertainty across the Atlantic and also in Europe because of indebtedness mainly. It's not helpful for the economy as a whole, and air traffic is driven by GDP growth. For the time being, it seems things are still okay. We see, as far as our market is concerned, still a very strong commercial momentum. And you've seen the very good order intake we've seen in the first half. So it seems for air traffic at this time we are resilient.
And I wanted to specifically talk about your single aisle seats, because of course we've had a flood of orders there. You say that you're able also to increase your capacity to more than 42 planes. How much more can you increase it by?
Currently, the plan is to go up to 42 end of 2012. There is currently a project to move it up to 44. It's not decided. The market would require at least 44, if not more. And we will come back, certainly, I would say, in the next 3 months to decide whether or not we are further moving up to 44.
Yeah, we've actually been speaking to quite a lot of analysts, and they say that even 44 might not be enough. Would you consider it increasing to 50? And if you would consider increasing it to 50, what does that mean for your final assembly lines?
I mean, from a market point of view, indeed, we should probably go beyond 44. The big constraint we have today is our supply chain, because obviously the whole system has to be able to follow. And this is in an environment where Boeing is ramping up as well, sometimes with the same suppliers. So the supply chain is under big stress today already, and we need to give our suppliers the time to adapt. So I don't see currently that shortly there would be a decision on something which is beyond 44.
But as things are, Mr. Ring, what is your max capacity in, if we put all the 3 assembly lines combined? Is it 45, 46? How many actual planes can you make as things are?
Certainly, in the final assembly lines, we could be probably above the 42. The problem is, again, the constraint coming from the supply chain, because the supply chain is delivering into all 3 final assembly lines we have today, and that's where we have to be vigilant.
But again, above 42, would it be 44? I mean, I'm really trying to understand exactly how much you can make. Are we looking at 44, a little bit more?
It's probably more, but I don't have a precise number for you in terms of final assembly lines.
All right, so what about, some analysts have told us it would make much more sense for you to open another assembly line in America after your huge order from American Airlines. Is this a possibility? First of all, globally, we try to improve our industrial footprint in the US. As you remember, we had the project of an A330 assembly line. So it is also to help our natural hedging. On the 320 final assembly line, there is no decision or project currently. So insofar, I cannot tell you more today. Why not? Would it not help you get more orders from the United States, such as Delta Airlines? The question will be if we would consider it obviously a question of business case, of funding, of orders. As you rightly say, certainly we would require a significant backlog from the United States if we would consider that. So what would it take for you to open an assembly line in the States? It would just be more orders? Certainly orders is a key element in that, but again, be careful, there is no decision or there is nothing imminent to be announced on a final assembly line in the US, not to give a wrong impression here. So you got this big order from American Airlines, and there are suggestions that you may have asked for well below the market price for these planes. Was it essential in getting a foothold in America? No, I mean, we are not buying into the market. We are selling our airplanes, obviously, on a competitive price. The pricing is well in line with what we have in our plans. And as I said before, it's competitive. I mean, obviously, I will not comment more on this particular deal. But we are, in terms of pricing globally, we are very well within the limits we have set ourselves.
Can I ask you a little bit about currency volatility? Because this is something that, of course, a lot of chief financial officers are concerned about. We've touched a little bit at the beginning, but how concerned really are you given all of the uncertainty out there on the markets right now?
Yes, there is a lot of uncertainty, as you say, coming from two weak currencies. And the question is, which one is the relatively cheaper one? This leads currently to a balance within a band between, say, 135 and 145. For us, short term, and if I say short term, is for the next 2 or 3 years, we are rather well covered through our hedging, through our hedging backlog. So we are not immediately hit by big dollar weakening. Insofar, we are following, obviously, the development of the dollar, whether or not we would have to adapt ourselves. But for the time being, I think with the 135, 145 band, it's manageable for us.
And have you actually hedged all of the planes that you've sold so far?
We have hedged ourselves for next year and already significantly for 2013, and also a significant hedge book already for 2014. So you can see we are a rather long-term hedger with a hedge book of $71 billion today.
Sir, in 10 seconds, could you just tell me, if you were to have an investor now in front of you, what would you tell them about your earnings today?
I think I would tell him that the earnings are perfectly in line with what we told the market at the beginning of the year. I think we have beaten a little bit the guidance of the market for the time being. The year is developing more or less as we said at the beginning, and the real good and strong push and news is that the order intake is so strong.
Mr. Rigg, thank you so much for joining us today.